Have you ever wondered what are the basics of tax audits in Georgia? I'll tell you. Hi, I'm Jeff Fouts, a tax attorney located in Metro Atlanta with a statewide and nationwide law practice helping clients who have serious Georgia tax problems. So, what are the basics of tax audits in Georgia? Audits conducted by the Georgia Department of Revenue are much like those conducted by the Internal Revenue Service. They select tax returns to audit on a random basis and based upon certain red flags. Georgia wants the tax returns that people file to be as accurate as possible. In their words, they want to ensure compliance. One way they achieve this goal is by auditing tax returns. Tax audits enable Georgia to send a strong signal to taxpayers that honesty is the best policy, or else you'll get caught. The audits also allow Georgia to send a signal that your tax returns should be prepared correctly and carefully, not just honestly. It also allows them to catch people that commit fraud and to collect as many tax dollars as possible. Compared to the massive computer systems that the IRS has, Georgia's computer systems don't appear to be as robust. But don't worry, Georgia has an information sharing agreement with the Internal Revenue Service. The result is that Georgia gets a lot of the benefit of the IRS's computer systems without them actually having to own those computers. The IRS is able to help Georgia find taxpayers who need auditing. One of the ways the IRS does this is to cross-check the information that it has provided on you from other sources against the information that you have put on your tax return. In most cases, Georgia only has 3 years after you file the tax return to audit it. But if Georgia believes an incorrect tax return or a tax report was filed with the intent to evade tax, or if you fail to file it, a tax return or report at all, Georgia can audit you or assess tax against you at any time. The Georgia Department of Revenue gets its authority to conduct audits from the Official Code of Georgia's Code Section 42-2-49, and that section's titled Periods of Limitations for Assessment of Taxes. If your tax return is selected for audit by the Department of Revenue, what they will do is they'll send you a notice in the mail notifying you that your tax return has been selected. Oh, happy day. And I know that you'll get a lump in the pit of your stomach when you get that. The auditor will let you know what portions of the tax returns are being examined, and the auditor will also ask you to provide backup or supporting documentation for whichever of the exemptions, deductions, expenses, tax credits, or income that you entered on your tax return that's being audited. Audits by the state of Georgia, by the Department of Revenue, are conducted by the Audit Unit. The Audit Unit conducts audits on income tax, sales and use tax, withholding tax, international fuel tax, motor fuel tax, and unclaimed property, all kinds of different things. Georgia says that they usually schedule the actual audit meeting 3 to 9 months after the taxpayer has received the audit notification letter. The purpose of this delay is to allow you plenty of time to gather the needed supported documentation. A Georgia auditor is supposed to limit his examination to just the facts, and sometimes he'll limit it to just what he's told you in the letter, but sometimes he can expand it. But the important thing about me mentioning this is they're supposed to limit it to just the facts. By this I mean that the auditor is not supposed to attempt to punish you or make the audit really rough just because he doesn't like you, for example. After the auditor examines the records that you provided, he can decide whether a change called an adjustment needs to be made to the tax return. If the auditor does find that he needs to make adjustments to the tax return, a tax deficiency is assessed against you. What that means, in other words, is that they're saying that you owe them additional tax along with additional penalties and interest. You can challenge the auditor's adjustments and the assessment by filing a written protest requesting a conference on the matter. The assessment can also be appealed to the new Georgia Tax Tribunal. And this tax tribunal is a very positive thing for taxpayers, and I'll talk about it in a subsequent article or video. I need to warn you about an important law that can bite you if you're not aware of it. If you're a Georgia taxpayer and the IRS has audited you or made a change to your federal tax return and you end up owing the IRS additional taxes, Georgia has a law that requires you to file an amended tax return showing these IRS changes within 180 days. And you're supposed to file that with the Georgia Department of Revenue. And then you're supposed to pay the tax or work out a solution to settle it. Or, for example, look at ways to potentially reduce the tax. The Georgia law, which talks about correcting your tax, can be seen at the Official Code of Georgia 48-7-82. I hope this important video tip has helped you understand the Georgia Department of Revenue a little bit better and about how tax problems and tax audits are solved. Chances are you have questions or concerns about your own particular tax problem. What I encourage you to do is pick up the phone and call me. I can answer your questions. Over the past 20 years, I've represented clients all across Georgia and in 50 states and 29 foreign countries, and I welcome your call. You can reach me at 800-509-2770 or by email at jfouts@taxhelpattorney.com. I'm Jeff Fouts, and thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.